Charlotte feels very tired after spending time with a lord in his bed, but because of this, the lord agrees to give the donation she wanted. Still, he tells Charlotte that it must be very hard for someone like her, a count's daughter, to go around asking people for money. While talking, Charlotte notices scars on the lord's body and becomes curious, so she asks him about them. The lord then explains that he got those scars during an assassination attempt in the past. Hearing this, Charlotte starts to feel sympathy for him and begins to see him as someone who has suffered a lot. At the beginning, the lord acts very unsure and keeps trying to distance himself from Charlotte, as if he is uncomfortable or afraid. However, suddenly, his behavior changes, and he begins to look at Charlotte differently. He starts to see his mother in her face, and this confusion grows stronger until he even begins calling Charlotte his mother. The situation becomes very strange and intense. At that moment, Charlotte calmly lifts her hand and activates her curse without hesitation. Very quickly, the lord begins to bleed heavily, and soon after, he dies. It is then revealed that Charlotte has a deadly curse. Any man who falls in love with her will eventually die. Because of her past experiences, Charlotte believes that love is not real and that it is only an illusion with no true meaning. Since many foolish men have already died because of her curse, she does not get much work anymore. Later, Charlotte visits Lady Aura, the founder of the Flower of Light cult. Aura gives her a new mission, asking her to kill the crown prince of the country and make it appear as if he died from illness. Charlotte is shown a portrait of the prince and notices that he is very handsome. She thinks the task will be simple and asks if the reward will be good. Aura assures her that the payment will be enough to make her rich for life. She also warns Charlotte not to fall in love with the crown prince during the mission. Charlotte responds confidently, reminding Aura of who she is. After that, Charlotte meets the crown prince, Arthur, and is shocked to discover that he is actually a capybara. She thinks this will make her task even easier because she finds him unattractive. However, when she tries to act kind and set her trap, Arthur does not react at all and ignores her completely. Later, he simply picks Charlotte up and carries her to his room. Inside the room, Charlotte still does not give up on her plan at all. She keeps trying again and again, using all her tricks and acting sweet in order to attract Arthur, hoping that he will fall for her, but nothing works. Arthur stays completely calm and unaffected, as if he has no interest in women at all. Charlotte then removes her clothes and gently tells Arthur to forget all his worries and simply enjoy the moment with her. At that exact moment, something unexpected happens, and Arthur suddenly breaks his calm and starts crying. Charlotte is surprised, but Arthur explains that he is not crying for himself. Instead, he says that he feels sad for Charlotte and her situation, and that it hurts him to see her doing such things just to survive and earn money. Charlotte quickly plays along with this situation and tells him that no one has ever cried for her before in her life. Hearing this, Arthur makes a serious promise and says that he will protect Charlotte for the rest of her life, no matter what happens. After some time passes, a maid enters the room to serve food, but it soon becomes clear that she is not a normal maid. She is actually an assassin who has come to kill Arthur. As she attacks, Charlotte decides that she cannot let her target die so easily, so she jumps forward to protect him. However, things take another turn when Arthur ends up saving Charlotte instead and protects her from being killed. He then starts fighting the assassin directly. During the fight, the assassin tells Arthur that Charlotte herself is also an assassin and cannot be trusted. Even after hearing this shocking truth, Arthur does not change his behavior at all. He continues fighting and defeats the assassin, saying that it does not matter because he has already promised to protect Charlotte no matter who she really is. After the fight is over, Charlotte is no longer the same as she was before. She is deeply touched by Arthur's actions, especially the fact that he saved her life and stayed true to his promise. She also begins to notice that Arthur is looking more and more handsome as time passes. This makes her think carefully, and she realizes that this might be connected to her curse. Normally, when a man falls in love with her, he dies, but now that she herself has fallen in love, the man becomes more handsome instead. To confirm this idea, she asks Arthur to pin her against the wall and repeat those same caring words. When he does exactly that, he becomes even more handsome, and Charlotte understands that her guess was correct. Even so, she firmly decides that she will not be foolish enough to fall in love with anyone. Charlotte thinks to herself that she carries a curse related to love, and her job is to make people fall in love with her so that they can die because of it. Because of this, she tells herself that she will do the same thing to Arthur as well and complete her mission. However, while she is thinking all of this, she is also quietly sitting and stitching a small doll that has Arthur's face on it. The moment she notices what she has made, Charlotte becomes very embarrassed and quickly throws the doll away without thinking. By chance, the doll flies straight and hits her father, who has just appeared at her door. He calmly ignores the situation and gives Charlotte an invitation that has come from Arthur. He also advises her to use this chance properly and make the most out of it. As Charlotte takes the letter in her hands, she immediately understands that this invitation is a perfect chance for her to carry out an assassination attempt on Arthur. Later on, when Charlotte arrives at the mansion, she comes across a very handsome nobleman who starts trying to impress her and flirt with her. He proudly tells her that his father is a minister and also insults Arthur by saying that someone like her does not deserve to be with a pig-faced crown prince. Charlotte pretends to act sweet and loving in front of the noble and plays along with his behavior. She then takes him to a private room by giving him the excuse that they can spend some enjoyable time together. However, once they are inside, Charlotte kills him without hesitation. Standing over his dead body, she confidently tells the noble that Arthur is actually a capybara and not a pig, correcting his insult. She also feels relieved because she realizes that her curse ability is still working perfectly and has not weakened. After this, Charlotte notices Arthur wearing dirty clothes and cleaning around the place. She walks up to him and asks him why he is dressed like that, looking confused. But before Arthur can answer her question, they suddenly hear some noise and trouble happening near the gate outside. A guard is trying to force a poor beggar girl to leave the area. When the girl refuses to go, the guard pushes her, but instead ends up pushing Charlotte by mistake. Charlotte does not react to being pushed and instead calmly asks the guard to give the girl some bread to eat. This act makes people around think that Charlotte might be the saintess they have heard rumors about. However, in reality, Charlotte is only hoping that Arthur saw her kind action and might start to fall in love with her because of it. Unexpectedly, the young girl speaks up and tells Charlotte not to interfere in her matters. At first, Charlotte wonders if she heard correctly, but the girl repeats herself clearly and tells Charlotte that wearing nice clothes cannot hide the fact that her heart is dirty and unpleasant. Because of what the girl said, the knight gets angry, grabs the girl by the head, and forcefully pushes her down to the ground, telling her to behave properly. Even in that situation, the girl looks up at Charlotte and gives her a playful and cheeky smile, as if she is not scared at all. At that moment, Arthur steps forward and tells the guard to let the girl go immediately. The guard responds rudely and tells Arthur that he is just a simple cleaner and should not interfere, as he has no authority. However, the situation changes when Arthur removes his scarf, and the guard sees the royal crest on his clothes. Realizing who Arthur truly is, the guard becomes frightened and quickly starts apologizing for his disrespectful behavior. Arthur calmly tells him that it is not a big issue and says that it is partly his own fault for dressing like a cleaner. Still, he advises the guard to treat everyone with kindness and respect, not only those who are rich or powerful. He reminds him that ordinary people are the true strength and foundation of the entire kingdom. Watching all of this, Charlotte thinks to herself that Arthur is acting exactly like a proper crown prince, even though he is just a capybara. Just then, the young girl walks up to Arthur and sincerely thanks him for saving her life. She also tries to give him something in return and calls him the future Holy King. Charlotte notices that Arthur is reacting very differently to this girl compared to how he behaves with her. The girl then gives Arthur a glowing ring, and Arthur asks her what kind of ring it is. The girl explains that it is a special keepsake from her mother. When Arthur tries to refuse the gift, the girl insists that he should accept it and keep it with him. Soon after giving the ring, the girl suddenly disappears, and it is revealed that she was actually the goddess of destiny, Sharasaha, in disguise. She then wonders if Arthur has already worn the ring. Meanwhile, Arthur realizes that the ring is too small to fit his fingers, so he tells Charlotte that she should take it instead. He gently places the ring on Charlotte's finger himself. At first, Charlotte feels unsure and hesitant, but when she realizes that this moment feels similar to a wedding, she allows it to happen. At the same time, Sharasaha observes a strange light coming from Arthur and understands that Charlotte must be carrying a curse. She becomes curious and decides to wait and see how Charlotte will use her powers. Meanwhile, Charlotte quickly turns her face away from Arthur, as she realizes once again that she is starting to fall in love with him. The invitation continues, and now Charlotte is sitting inside a room together with Arthur. In that quiet moment, Arthur gently apologizes to her for all the trouble and chaos that happened earlier outside. Charlotte calmly replies that it is not a big problem at all and tells him not to worry about it. She then asks Arthur if he was walking around in disguise to check on things by himself. Arthur confirms this and admits that it was a little embarrassing for him to be seen like that. Hearing this, Charlotte starts praising him a lot, telling him that he looked just like a brave hero while helping people. In her mind, she thinks that Arthur might be the type of person who enjoys being praised and admired. However, Arthur surprises her by saying that what he truly wants is to see Charlotte smiling happily all the time. When Charlotte hears these words, her heart suddenly skips a beat, and she quickly tells herself that she must not fall for such simple and cheesy lines. She begins to wonder if Arthur is trying to charm her using his natural royal presence and noble personality. But while she is thinking all this inside her head, she unknowingly starts making strange facial expressions. This makes Arthur look at her with concern and ask if the tea is not good. Charlotte quickly denies this and says that it is not the case at all. Just then, a butler enters the room carrying a special dish prepared for them today. At the same time, Charlotte reminds herself that she needs to stay focused on her mission. The special dish turns out to be a strawberry tart, and Arthur happily tells her that this is the sweet dessert he had mentioned earlier. He also explains that it is made using rare ingredients that are only available for a short period of 10 days. Charlotte decides to taste the dessert, thinking it will probably be just like any other sweet dish. However, the moment she takes her first bite, she is completely overwhelmed by how incredibly delicious it is. The crispy texture and rich flavor make it even more enjoyable. Soon, Charlotte starts thinking that Arthur might enjoy watching girls eat happily, so she begins to eat with more excitement, showing expressions of pure joy and satisfaction. After a short while, Arthur suddenly starts coughing, and very quickly, blood begins to come out of his mouth. Charlotte smiles slightly as she realizes that her curse has started working, and she thinks that Arthur must have fallen in love with her too easily. But then, her heart softens when she remembers his promise to protect her. Because of this, she immediately calls for help and tells Arthur that he cannot die just because of such a weak and incomplete feeling of love. However, it is soon discovered that Arthur did not fall sick because of Charlotte's curse at all, but instead he simply choked on a piece of strawberry while eating. The butler feels both relieved and a little annoyed at the same time, and he scolds Arthur for not chewing his food properly before swallowing. After that, the butler reminds Arthur that he still has not eaten his savory dishes, which are also part of the meal. However, Arthur casually explains that he does not want to eat them because the sandwiches contain cucumbers and the quiche has spinach in it, and he dislikes both of those ingredients. Hearing this, the butler firmly tells Arthur not to act picky and insists that he should eat everything because maintaining his health is very important. Meanwhile, Charlotte becomes extremely angry inside and starts thinking to herself that she will never forgive Arthur for this situation. She strongly believes that the best and most proper way for Arthur to die is by falling in love with her, and she considers any other way of dying to be completely worthless. At that moment, Arthur suddenly smiles brightly and tells Charlotte that even though he promised to protect her, it was actually her who ended up saving him earlier. Hearing his words, Charlotte feels her heart racing intensely, almost as if it is about to burst, because she finds Arthur's expression and tone very cute. On top of that, something even more surprising happens, as Arthur suddenly appears to have developed a proper neck, which he did not have before. Charlotte notices this change and is completely shocked, realizing that Arthur has somehow lost weight. Feeling confused and overwhelmed, she quickly stands up and tells Arthur that she has some errands to take care of, and politely asks for permission to leave. Without waiting much, she turns around and starts walking away quickly. Seeing her sudden reaction, Arthur becomes slightly worried and begins to think that he might have done something wrong, so he even tries to stop her from leaving. Later, back at her mansion, Charlotte lies down lazily and starts thinking about Arthur, admitting to herself that the capybara is actually very cute, and even his oversized sleeves make him look charming. She remembers his earlier chubby appearance and thinks it was nice, but at the same time, she feels that his current slimmer form matches her personal preference even more. However, she quickly reminds herself that she must not fall in love with a capybara under any circumstances. Outside the mansion, some maids are talking among themselves about how Lady Charlotte was invited to the castle by the Crown Prince. Another maid responds by saying that such attention is expected because Charlotte is believed to be a saint. While they are talking, a young man arrives and introduces himself as Dr. Croft. He explains that he got lost while returning after delivering some medicine, so the maids decide to guide and help him. As they walk together, Croft eventually meets Charlotte and tells her that she needs proper re-education. In response, Charlotte politely apologizes and explains that she had been delayed because she came across a butterfly that was about to die. Charlotte is not bothered by anything that has happened and calmly thinks to herself that she will deal with the Crown Prince properly this time and finish everything once and for all. She has also prepared a special vegetable pie and believes that she will make Arthur eat it no matter what. While thinking about this plan, Charlotte starts laughing quietly to herself, lost in her own thoughts, and a small child nearby notices her and asks his mother why that lady is laughing all alone. After some time, Charlotte continues on her way to meet Arthur so that she can give him the vegetable pie that she made with so much effort and care. As she walks, she imagines Arthur happily eating the pie and telling her that it tastes really good. Suddenly, she hears someone calling her name and turns around, thinking it must be Arthur, but instead she sees Croft standing there. Charlotte is surprised to see him and begins to wonder why her assassination instructor is present in this place. Croft calmly picks up the basket that had fallen from her hands, gives it back to her, and tells her that she should not be so careless, especially when it comes to her assassination tools. At that moment, Charlotte realizes that she needs to escape quickly. She turns around and tries to walk away, but Croft suddenly moves behind her, pins her against the wall, and asks if her carelessness comes from her own foolishness. He then questions her about why she is trying to run away like this. Croft reminds her that he has an anti-magic constitution, which means her curse will not work on him at all. He also asks her if the Crown Prince's kindness has made her start dreaming or losing focus. Moving even closer, Croft tells Charlotte that she will now receive punishment from him. Charlotte struggles and tries to resist with all her strength, but Croft calmly explains that her memories will be erased because she is no longer fit to be an assassin in her current state. Hearing this, Charlotte becomes desperate and starts crying loudly for help, calling out to Lord Arthur to save her. As Croft prepares to use a needle on her, Charlotte begins screaming in fear, saying that she does not want to forget all the memories she has made with Arthur. At that exact moment, Arthur arrives like a hero, walking toward them and firmly telling Croft to stop what he is doing. He admits that he does not fully understand the situation, but still tells Croft that he should not force Charlotte to do something she clearly does not want. Croft quickly steps back, bows his head, and apologizes to the Crown Prince for what he was doing, explaining that he was only trying to handle the situation and take care of the lady in his own way. At the same time, Charlotte stands there with tears in her eyes, her heart becoming very soft after realizing that Arthur has come once again to save her. She feels deeply moved by the fact that Arthur is always there for her whenever she needs help, no matter the situation. Unable to control her strong emotions any longer, Charlotte suddenly runs forward and jumps onto Arthur, hugging him very tightly. As she holds him close, something very unusual happens, and a bright light suddenly appears around them. The light becomes so strong and intense that all the people standing nearby are forced to cover their eyes because they cannot look at it directly. Some people in the crowd begin to whisper and wonder what kind of strange light this is, while one person even says that the brightness is just like the morning sun. Another girl nearby notices that, even though the light is strong, it feels warm and gentle instead of harsh. After a moment, Charlotte and Arthur slowly separate from their hug and look at each other, both feeling shocked and confused about what just happened. Charlotte, still with tears in her eyes, thinks it is amazing and almost unbelievable that Arthur has changed his appearance once again. On the other hand, Arthur realizes something important and understands that it has been Charlotte who was behind all the miracles that have been happening to him. Some of the guards then turn toward Arthur and ask him to explain what exactly has happened. Later, people in the crowd are seen talking among themselves about how they just witnessed Arthur's appearance changing right in front of their eyes. In the middle of all this, Arthur raises his voice to get everyone's attention and calmly explains that he knows everyone must be surprised by his sudden change in appearance. He then clearly states that this is all because of Lady Charlotte from the House of Earls. He tells everyone that Charlotte is the one responsible for the miracle that caused his transformation. Hearing this, Charlotte becomes very surprised and does not know how to react, as her special ability has now been revealed to everyone in public. Arthur then looks at her with concern and asks if she is alright. He reassures her by saying again that it is truly because of her that his form has changed, and he thanks her deeply from his heart. He even says that he feels grateful to God for allowing him to meet Charlotte. When Charlotte hears this, she feels very happy and starts to think that Arthur is boldly expressing his love for her in front of everyone. Watching this moment, Croft quietly finds the whole situation very cute and amusing. After Arthur openly announced that Charlotte is the saint, people everywhere have started praising her a lot and showing her great respect. The maidens are proudly introducing Charlotte as the holy saint to their grandmothers and other elders, and in return, the elders are giving Charlotte their warm blessings and kind words. Even though everyone is happy and hopeful, some people are still worried because there have been many strange and troubling incidents happening recently. However, they believe that now, with Charlotte being recognized as a saint, peace will soon return to the country. Meanwhile, Charlotte herself feels quite surprised and overwhelmed by all this sudden attention and admiration. She understands that too much attention might cause her plans to fail, but at the same time, she cannot help but find the situation a little amusing. Even the shopkeeper who once treated her badly and used to beat her is now politely inviting her into his shop. Still, deep inside, Charlotte feels that something is not quite right. It turns out that Arthur has invited Charlotte to meet him at an old church. When she arrives, Arthur apologizes for calling her so suddenly, but he explains that this church is very old and has a long history of about 300 years. He tells her that many years ago, a very dangerous and powerful dragon used to live there, and that dragon was eventually defeated by his brave and confident father. Hearing this story, Charlotte thinks to herself that Arthur's father must have been a very strong and capable man. After that, Arthur suddenly asks Charlotte if she has ever heard about a group called the Flowers of Light. As soon as she hears this name, Charlotte begins to feel nervous and starts to panic inside, thinking that Arthur might have discovered her secret. Then, Arthur asks her another question, wondering if she has ever visited the slums. Quietly, Charlotte remembers her own past, knowing that she also comes from the slums, and she begins to wonder if Arthur truly knows about her hidden plans. Charlotte starts thinking deeply about how much Arthur actually knows about the slums and what kind of information he might already have. She carefully tells him that she has been living in an orphanage ever since she was a baby, and because of that, she does not really know much about the outside world or how things truly work beyond it. When Arthur hears this, he feels very sad for her situation, and his emotions become so strong that he even suddenly turns into a capybara while crying. However, after a short moment, he quickly changes back into his human form again. This sudden transformation shocks Charlotte, and she realizes that Arthur has the ability to switch between forms like this. With tears still in his eyes, Arthur apologizes to Charlotte, saying that he did not mean to make her remember painful things from her past. He then explains that the slums are in a very bad condition, where children are often treated like objects and sold, and there have also been many reports about human trafficking happening there. Arthur says that the reason he asked Charlotte about the slums was because he thought she might have visited them during her charity work. Hearing this, Charlotte quietly feels relieved, as it seems Arthur does not know her secret. But then Arthur adds that he wants to do something about the situation and hopes to put an end to the suffering in the slums. He explains that he plans to rebuild the slums and create a better life for the people living there. However, Charlotte does not agree with this idea at all. She remembers how mothers in the slums easily sell their daughters to grown men just for a few coins, and she believes that such people cannot be saved. In her mind, she thinks Arthur will only waste his time and effort trying to help them. On the other hand, Arthur calmly explains that it is not the fault of those people that they were born in such conditions. He says that if he were in their place, things could have been different. He even admits that he himself was born looking unattractive, but he still feels grateful to his mother for giving him life. Even though he feels sad about it, he says that he has always tried to keep his heart pure and kind so that he can grow into a good and worthy king. Arthur tells Charlotte that she has saved him from something terrible and that he is very grateful to her. He speaks with strong passion about his dream of creating a new and better world, and he asks Charlotte to stand by his side and become a part of that dream. He gently tells her that he wants her to be the mother of the kingdom in the future. Hearing this, Charlotte becomes completely shocked and finds it hard to believe what he just said. She understands that this is not just a simple request, but a clear and indirect way of expressing his love for her. As she listens, her mind begins to race, and she starts thinking about what could happen if she accepts his feelings. Then she remembers her curse and realizes something painful, that if she ever marries Arthur, it will lead to his death. She firmly believes that no matter what, she and Arthur can never be together in that way. Arthur notices that Charlotte looks troubled and asks her gently if something is wrong, but she is too lost in her thoughts to answer him properly. She keeps thinking about how impossible it is for her to marry him, even if she wants to. In her heart, she feels that Arthur is a kind and good person who does not deserve to die because of her. She knows that she carries the dangerous curse of love, while Arthur has a beautiful dream of becoming a great king and helping his people live better lives. Arthur, still worried about her, asks her once again if something is bothering her. Finally, Charlotte gathers some courage and tells him that he should think again about marrying her. When Arthur asks her the reason, she explains that she does not see herself as someone worthy enough to become his queen. After saying this, she turns away and runs off in sadness, knowing that she could not fully enjoy what could have been the happiest moment of her life. Later, when she is far away and alone, Charlotte keeps thinking about everything that just happened. Suddenly, Croft appears from behind and grabs her, reminding her that he had warned her not to fall in love with the crown prince. He then tells Charlotte that it is now time for her to return to the person she used to be before. When Charlotte wakes up, she feels a strong heaviness in her head and becomes confused, not knowing where she is at that moment. As she slowly looks around the room, she sees Croft Sensei sitting nearby, quietly watching her with a serious expression. The moment she notices him, she becomes frightened and quickly begs him to release her, asking what he plans to do with her next. Croft replies in a cold and emotionless voice, telling Charlotte that she has completely lost her true self and who she used to be. He reminds her that she was once feared and respected as the killer of love, but now she has become weak and without any strength or will. As Charlotte looks at him, she understands that he is truly angry with her this time, more than ever before. She knows very well that even though Croft may appear calm and gentle on the outside, he is actually extremely dangerous and capable of killing someone in a single moment without hesitation. Croft continues speaking and says that it would be a great loss for their order to lose someone as talented as her, especially since she has such a rare and powerful curse related to love. However, he also reminds her that Lady Aura will be very angry with her actions and her failure. He strongly believes that anyone who chooses love over their mission and duty deserves to be punished. As Croft moves closer to her, Charlotte starts to feel uneasy, and her body reacts in ways she cannot fully control, because he was the one who trained her and taught her everything she knows. Croft tells Charlotte that she has stopped being a proper assassin and has turned into just an ordinary woman. Still, he says that he is not worried anymore because he is about to fix everything. He prepares to transfer his magic into her body using a needle, explaining that this will erase all her memories of Arthur and return her to her original self. As soon as the magic enters her body, Charlotte feels a strong burning sensation spreading through her entire body, and it does not take long before she completely returns to how she was before. After this change, her behavior shifts, and she responds to Croft in a way that shows she has gone back to her former self. Croft feels satisfied and says that he will save her once again this time. However, as time passes, Charlotte begins to feel something strange deep inside her mind. She starts to see faint and unclear memories of someone she once wanted to be close to, even though she cannot fully remember who that person is. Slowly, she begins to see images of Arthur appearing in her thoughts again and again, and she starts wondering who this person might be and why he feels so important to her. All of a sudden, Charlotte starts remembering Arthur's words very clearly, especially how he spoke about his dream of rebuilding the slums, making the kingdom strong and peaceful again, and becoming a kind and caring king for all his people. As these memories begin to return, the ring on Charlotte's finger suddenly starts glowing with a bright and powerful light, and very quickly, all her lost memories come back to her, including everything that happened before her memories were erased. The strong and shining light coming from the ring confuses Croft a lot, and he cannot understand what is happening at all. He is left standing there in complete shock, unable to do anything except watch everything unfold in front of his eyes. At the same time, in another place, one of Aura's subordinates asks her why she decided to let a traitor like Charlotte go free. Aura calmly explains that Charlotte is actually Croft's favorite, and if letting her live can keep Croft satisfied and calm, then it is only a small price to pay. The subordinate then becomes curious and asks Aura who Croft really is and why he is so important. Aura reveals that most of the drugs their group creates are actually refined and prepared by Croft himself. Hearing this, the subordinate becomes very surprised and realizes that Croft must have an extremely high level of magical power. When she asks more about this, Aura explains that Croft has had such powerful magic ever since she found him and took him in about 20 years ago. After answering all these questions, Aura suddenly stands up and, without any warning, stabs the subordinate in the abdomen with her sword, telling her that she does not like being questioned too much. As the subordinate starts apologizing in pain, Aura pulls the sword out and says that she will forgive her this time, blaming everything on Charlotte instead. Back in the room, Croft is still unable to see properly because of the bright light coming from the ring. Meanwhile, Charlotte starts thinking that the ring might have just saved her life from danger. She looks at Croft and realizes that she needs to escape as quickly as possible. However, just as she tries to run away, Croft suddenly grabs her from behind and reminds her that he had always taught her not to develop emotions or feelings. Charlotte looks up at him and sees that he is extremely angry, more than she has ever seen before, and his presence feels very dark and threatening. Even then, Charlotte does not feel as scared as she normally would. Deep inside her heart, she understands that she cannot live in a world where Lord Arthur does not exist. With tears slowly forming in her eyes, she looks at Croft and softly calls out the name Sino, which leaves Croft completely shocked and unable to react.